Hey guys, welcome back for another great video. Today we're talking about type 9s and we're asking the question, can type 9s be leaders? And of course the answer to that question is yes. 9s can be leaders. Not only leaders, but 9s can be great leaders. Now that may not sound like for a 9, if you're a 9 watching this video, you may hear that and think, oh, I don't know if I want to be a leader, because there's some aspects of the 9 personality that would kind of resist leadership. But I want to show you through this video today that if you can get in touch with some other aspects of your personality, you can not only be a leader, but in many ways you may be one of the best suited personalities for leadership. And that may be hard for you to accept right now, just if you don't think of yourself as a leader. You don't think of yourself as being comfortable with leadership and making decisions and taking charge of others and being responsible for others. There's a lot of things about 9s that would tend to resist leadership. 9s don't often want to be out in front. 9s are going to probably by nature kind of resist, leadership, because when you set yourself up to be a leader, or when you're set up by others as a leader, that we usually think, that person needs to be a decisive person who is bold and ready to take action, who has confidence, knows what they want, knows what's best for the organization, and then is willing to take risks and take criticism and sometimes go against what's popular in order to see that agenda, become reality. And there's a lot in that for 9s to make them nervous. A lot of what I said right there is going to make 9s nervous, because by and large, 9s, they want to get along with people. They want to make sure everybody else's opinion is heard and make sure everybody's valued. They don't necessarily put a lot of value on their own agendas, if they're even aware of their own agendas. And sometimes they, get real nervous when you start talking about conflict and start talking about, being out in front and taking leadership, because it's not, the conflict is what 9s want to avoid. At the heart of the 9, at the heart of that personality, sort of the childhood wound or the idea of the 9 is, it seems like for some reason 9s feel like that when they were little kids, that if they asserted themselves and they asserted their desires and their beliefs, that the important people in their life, i.e. their parents, the important people in their life might disconnect from them. And so, it seems like to a 9 that that's what would have happened. Maybe that wouldn't have happened, but for them in their little lives as children, it was like asserting what you want and what you like seems like an aggressive action, and it will cause my dad, or it'll cause my mom, or it'll cause the people in my life that are important to me to separate themselves from me if I stand up and I vocalize what I want and I vocalize my agenda. And so because of that fear of loss, 9s tend to go quiet. They tend to stuff it down and not necessarily speak up for what they want. And it seems easier and better to just go along with whoever the strong people are, go along with their agenda. And so 9s are sort of operating with, you can summarize it with this phrase, they go along to get along. Okay, so they go along to get along. They want to get along with people. They want to get along with others, and so they tend to go along with people, especially powerful people, and they tend to suppress their own wants, needs, and desires in an attempt to stay connected to, the important people in their life. Now there's sort of that dark side, that since 9s know what it's like, now they're not necessarily conscious of this or aware of this, okay? So if you're a 9, you may hear this and think, well, I don't know that I think like that. You probably don't think like this, but this is what's going on. The 9's kind of since I know what it's like to not be listened to not have my opinions heard, to not, be a focus of people's attention, then what they do is they want to then make sure everybody's heard. So operating from one side of the coin is, I know what it's like to not be heard. Now they're not necessarily conscious of this or angry about it, okay, or aware of it. But what's going on is, it's like one side of the coin is they're saying, I know what it's like to not be heard. I know what it's like to not have my opinion valued. So I'm going to make sure that I hear everybody, and I'm going to make sure everybody's opinion is valuable. And I'm going to make sure everybody knows that they're important to the team. And so when you see the positive side of the 9 is they tend to be agreeable, likable, friendly. They tend to get along and go along and listen to everybody's opinions, and they tend to mediate conflict, and they tend to value all the workforce, and they tend to, well, this is all the positive side that we applaud, but the negative side of it that sort of drives this is they know what it's like to not be valued, to not be heard, to not have their opinions cared for, and to know what it's like to be sort of on the outside, or you might say, dismissed. And so they're not going to let others be dismissed. Again, that may not be conscious to you. That may not be something that you're aware of. But if you can become aware of it, I think it will help you understand, why you're compelled and impulsed, which we all are. We're all compelled and impulsed into our behaviors. And maybe you can get into some control. In other words, get in the driver's seat. And really, that's what 9s need to do. They need to get in the driver's seat of their life. Okay? You need to get in the driver's seat of your life. You've been a passenger for far too long. Maybe you don't trust yourself. Maybe you don't trust your own ability, to reason through a problem, or you're afraid that if you start setting the direction for your life or setting the direction for your course, that you're going to end up in conflict with other people. You're going to, okay? You're going to have conflicts with people, even if you let them drive the car, okay? If you merge and fuse with the powerful people in your life and you hand over the keys of your life to someone else and let them set your agenda and let them drive for you, you are still going to have conflict. You're going to have conflict with yourself and your own agenda and your own heart and your own life's purpose, and you're never going to make everybody happy. Even if you let them, and they're going to drive the car and look over you and say, why don't you speak up for yourself? Why don't you? You're never going to avoid conflict. Conflict is not a bad thing, okay? Being a conflicted person is a bad thing. Initiating conflict for its own sake is a bad thing. But anytime you stand up for what you want and you stand up for what you believe in, you can expect that there's going to be some blowback to that. And you're never going to make everybody happy, okay? You're never going to make everybody satisfied. You don't want to go along with people to the point that you can no longer get in touch with what drives you. And I've seen 9s that do this. They go along with people so much that they've lost all sense of what they want in life or what they're supposed to do in life. It's great to want to make people happy. It's great to make one of people, satisfied, but you can't do that by just erasing yourself. I mean, you can do that by erasing yourself, but that you can't allow yourself to just disappear, to hide in the basement, of life, so that, and what 9s do is their radar is up, right? We always talk about how people's radar is up, and what are they scanning for, right? What 9s are scanning for is, what do people want? What do people want me to be? And what do I need to do to help people accomplish their agendas? Where is their potential conflict? I need to go and mediate that and, get it worked out and get it dealt with so that everybody can work in harmony again. And then what do the strong and powerful people want? What are the expectations? What do I need to do in order to align myself with the strong people and to accomplish their agenda so there's no conflict? And so people reach their goals. I'll reach my goal if everybody else is reaching theirs. If everybody else is happy, then I can finally be happy. If everybody else is content, then I can finally be content. So I just need to die to all my desires, dreams, and wishes and come alive to their desires, dreams, and wishes. And when they're happy and applauding and satisfied, then I can be happy and applaud and be satisfied. And that's why people love 9s, okay? 9s are just such great people to be around because I think about 9s as being like vanilla ice cream. You know, vanilla ice cream, you can mix it with any other flavor and it merges with and fuses with and softens, you might say, every other strong flavor it's around. But in a sense, once you mix it with another flavor, the vanilla is easy to get lost in that mix and loses itself by mellowing out others. That's what 9s do. They mellow out others, but they tend to lose themselves. Vanilla is a real flavor. Okay? Vanilla is a real flavor. And it's a flavor that ought to be appreciated. But when you blend it with other flavors, it tends to sort of just mellow out and disappear, and it mellows out the other flavor, and vanilla just kind of disappears in the process. And that's kind of what 9s do. They mellow everybody out, you know, but they can kind of lose. Now, again, what's the dark side of that? Well, the dark side is one of the reasons that 9s do this so well is at the end of the day, if you're honest, you just don't want to be bothered. 9s don't want to be bothered. They don't want their boat rocked, so they don't rock other people's boats. 9s don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be intruded on. They don't want to be invaded, and they don't want other people, pushing them when they don't want to be pushed. And so they tend to resist that by going along with people, in a sense, to get people to leave them alone. Again, if you're a 9, you've maybe never thought of that before, okay? But just go back and think about your life and think about how you work with others and interact with others and test me on this, okay? 9s don't want to be moved. They want to stand still. They want to, in a sense, run with an idle engine. They want to be still. They want to be comfortable. They like routine, okay? They don't want somebody coming in. You want to upset a 9, which 9s can be hard to upset. 9/8's a little more easy to upset. But you want to upset a 9, start moving them, start pushing them, start changing things on them, and watch 9s respond with frustration and anger. So since they don't want to be moved and they want to remain comfortable and they want to remain static, 9s then don't push on you. They don't move and push and drive you because they don't want that done to them. So in that sense, they're kind of like stubborn. Think about like 6s, for example. 6s are going to be loyal to you and loyal friends to you because that's what they want from you. They want you to be loyal to them. So they are loyal to you in a bid that you will reciprocate that loyalty to them. 9s are the same. 9s will not push you. They won't coerce you. They won't shove and drive and challenge you because they want you to reciprocate that same respect to them. But the reality is leaders push people. Leaders, they antagonize by nature. Leaders, as soon as leaders set a direction, they are now antagonizing you into movement, into action. So 9s, if you're going to lead, you've got to get over this desire to remain put. You have to get over this desire to sort of stay stuck. You have to watch this is what makes 9s could be awesome leaders. Watch this. In some ways, 9s are best prepared to be leaders if they can grasp this. I'm getting chills, okay? Literally, I'm getting chills just thinking about this. This is crazy. I'm so excited for you 9s that are watching this video, okay? For one, look at it like this. 9, which tends to be like what you think of as a withdrawn type, that's very mellow, that's vanilla, that doesn't want to be moved, that wants to be at peace, that doesn't want to rock the boat or rattle cages. Look at both wings of the 9. Here's 9 right in the middle, right? Look at both wings. On the one side you have the 8, and on the other side you have the 1. You have the two of, let's just say it that way, two of the most energetic, forceful, powerful, dynamic types on either side of you. On the one hand, you have the 8, which says, I don't care what people want. This is what needs to be done. This is what's got to happen. Now we're going to just do that, and it's too bad if people don't like it. You've got that on one wing. You have all of the volatility and the drive and the determination and the confidence of an 8 right there on your wing, but you mellow it out. You soften it and mellow it out, but it's there. It's right there at your wing. And on the other side of you, look at what's on the other side of you, the 1. The 1 that says, here's a list of all the things that can make this better. Here's a list of all the things that are wrong with this organization. And here's how to make it better. And I'm going to stay awake and I'm going to stay focused until this is better. And I'm going to clean it up and organize it. And I'm going to write policies, and we're going to make this organization and this company and this institution and this church, we're going to make this the best it can be. We are going to reform it and perfect it, and every little dot and every little T is crossed and I is dotted, and we're going to do. That's on your other side. On the one hand, you have the 8, which is, I'm my own man. Nobody can tell me what to do. I'll do what I think is right. And on the other side, you have, let's follow the rules, let's get it all done, let's stay up late and make sure everything is put away when we're done and everything is in its place. You have those two powerful, dynamic personality right next to you, but you don't have the weaknesses they have, i.e. / the anger, okay, or the negative intensity of an 8 or the anger of a 1. You can access, on both sides of your personality, you can access those wings and do it in a way that is more mellow, calm, collected, peaceful, cooperative. You can lean in either direction and get in touch with what you need to be a great leader. Think about that. What other personality type on the Enneagram can do that? What other personality type sits between? Well, maybe a 2. A 2 might. Because the 2 doesn't really want to think of themselves as a leader very often, because their whole personality is based on pleasing people. And when you take on leadership, you can be unpleasing. That's why 2s like to take that second position, that supportive position, because when you set yourself up to be the leader, you're going to have critics, and 2s hate to be criticized, right? And 1s hate to be criticized, but a 2 sits right between 1 and 3. 1, do it the right way, get it done. I can't sleep until it's organized and ordered and structured and everything's accounted for. And then you got the 3 on the other side of you, which is achieve, achieve, achieve. Now, so watch this though. Something that the 2 doesn't have going for them is the 9 has the 8 and the 1, and guess where the 9 goes when they're healthy? When the 9 is healthy and operating in health, guess where they go? They go to a 3. The 3 is the proverbial leader in America. 3 is all about network, build relationships, have a great product, believe in yourself, set goals, work hard, beat the competition, never say die. That's 3. 3 is every book. You go to the bookstore and you look at the self-help books and the business leadership books. It's all 3 values. How to be a great 3. If a 9 would sit down and read some of those books on leadership, they're all 3 values, and get in touch with that, what it means, that essence of 3ness, of achieving, of setting goals. Man, you have like the perfect storm for a leader. in a 9. I'm convinced, because you have the mellow, calm Mr. Rogers, John Denver, Bob Ross mellowness of a 9. But on both sides, you have that 8 and that 1, and they go to 3 in health. When 9s go to 3, they're setting goals for themselves. They are awake to their own agenda, to what needs to be done, and 9s start setting goals. They put things down ahead of themselves as goals, and then they work to accomplish them, and they work to reach it. But the cool thing is a 9 can then go to home at night and go to sleep and not stay up all night driven by a sense of worth and value that they have to accomplish this to be an important person. 9s don't care about being important people, so they don't have the negatives that 3s have. They can go to bed at night and relax and get up tomorrow and do it all over again. Set goals, accomplish goals with the drive and determination of 9s and 1s, or 8s and 1s, and do it all from the comfortable position, relaxed position of a 9. Man. Yet the sad thing is many 9s out there don't seem to realize this. I mean, it just burdens me that there's so many 9s out there that just are asleep, essentially, like zombies. I mean, whatever it takes to be comfortable. And so they're making everybody else happy. And in that sense, they think they're happy because nobody's upset with them, but they're also not doing anything productive. So, 9 goes to 6 when it's unhealthy, right? When the 9 is stressed or let things go too long, they start getting motivated by fear, like 6s. Like, you let this go too long, people are upset with you, you've missed a deadline, and so they start hearing that wolf breath. They feel the wolf breath, and they hear the drum beats, of the 6, and they start moving in fear and operating in fear. And that forces them up out of their comfort for a while. But then when those drum beats go away and the wolves get quiet, the 9 will revert back to that comfortable, lazy. You remember the sin of the 9 is sloth, to that lazy sloth. And that's so sad. It's so sad. Walt Disney was a 9, wing 1, which is called the dreamer, right? All of the potential of Walt Disney is in you if you're a 9, okay? And the 9/8, is Harry Potter. The referee, the 9/8 is called the referee. That's the person that's content, but then blows the whistle when things are wrong, runs in, organizes it, fixes it, makes it right, and then drops back and lets the game go on until there's another problem that needs to be dealt with. And every 9 has got that potential, to rush in, solve the problems, set the agenda, dream the great dreams, tap into 8, tap into 1, set their goals at 3. Every 9's got that potential. But so many of them just don't access it. So I got a list here today. I want to talk. If you're not motivated already, I don't know what'll motivate you. I really don't. The scary thing for the 9 is that one day they wake up, right, and life's over, and they've missed it. They were so focused on being comfortable that they missed, kind of the purpose of what they're here for. Okay, so the core characteristics of a 9 leader. Number 1, they are good mediators and facilitators. Okay? Yeah, 9s believe in structure, or the negative we might say routine. Routines can be good, but routines can keep you stuck too, right? 9s often don't question their routines. 9s work in either thinking or either action, routine, or they switch over into thinking and feeling, which is dreaming, okay? So 9s tend to move in one or the other, and guess what? They tend to live in the action, which they do without thinking or feeling. So they like action that they don't have to think about. 9s like to do things over and over again in a repeated way that they don't have to think about. They like routines. you want to upset a 9, change their routine on them, and you'll upset them, not maybe make them angry, but you'll upset them because they have to switch over into thinking and feeling, and that can be frustrating for 9s because they like to stay in action. Remember, they're an action type, right? 8s, 9s, and 1s are action types. And for the 9, that action type can look like inaction. Okay, it can look like inaction. Because when you separate action from thinking and feeling, it can look like inaction. Or negative, we could say, looks like stubbornness, like they don't move, like they don't want to move, or be moved, or move others. Okay. Remember, they're in the action type first, so they're an action type. They are exactly the same distance from thinking, 5, 6, and 7, as they are from feeling, 2, 3s, and 4s. So thinking and feeling are in one group, and actions in the other, and they're separate from each other. 9s wake up when they get in touch with their thoughts and their feelings. And then you say to them, yes, but what do you think about this job? How do you feel about this marriage? What do you think should be done with your child in this situation? And they wake up and go, gosh, I never even thought about it. I don't know what I think. I don't know how I feel. They just went to sleep to their own thinking and feelings and were operating in routine action. Okay. So 9s make good facilitators and mediators because that goal, that value is to make sure everybody gets heard, because they know what it's like to not be heard, so they want to make sure everybody else is heard. They naturally listen to other people's point of view, and they see the legitimacy in everybody else's perspective. Okay, now that sounds great, doesn't it? You see the legitimacy in everybody else's perspective. What could be wrong with that? The downside for leadership is there comes a point when you have to make decisions, when you say, yes, I've heard the 3 different views that are on the table, and I select one, and I deny the other 2. That's what leadership does. Leadership makes decisions and says, this is the direction we're going in, and the other 2, although they might be valuable, is not what we're choosing. We're not choosing those. We're choosing one of the 3 paths, and we're going to roll the dice and gamble everything on the one. That's where it can be hard for 3s, because they don't necessarily have that good sense of I know I'm right, and I know that this is the right way, and the other ways are not as good as this. That's hard. That it creates indecision for 9s. And if you're a 9, you know what it's like to be indecisive, right? 8s aren't indecisive. 1s are not indecisive. 8s and 1s both know in any given situation, they'll hear it for a second and they'll go, yep, this is what I'm going to do. Their gut tells them. Well, the gut's telling the 9 too, but the problem is the 9's radar isn't looking in their gut. The 9's radar is looking at, what do people want me to do? What do people want me to say? What do people expect? And because they have that, that looking at what other people are expecting and wanting to fit in and not wanting to end up being pushed and shoved and moved, they don't want to push and shove others. They can just struggle with making decisions and be very indecisive because they're not necessarily in touch. So 9s can end up sitting on the fence. And they may also sit on the fence because they may feel like, well, what could I do? What could I really do to make this different? I'm a nobody. 9s have that sense like, I'm nobody special. Everybody else is special, but not me. Remember Mr. Rogers, right? He comes on and he sings to everybody, you're special. You're the one that's important. Every one of you is different and unique and special, right? But if you ask Mr. Rogers, well, Mr. Rogers, are you special? Oh, no, there's nothing special about me. I'm just an ordinary guy, right? Bob Ross is telling everybody that they could paint just like him. He started a whole school down there just a few miles away from where I live, and you can come and you can learn how to paint just like Bob Ross. Watch his videos and you could learn how to do this too, because every one of you has this gift that I can know. What the gift I have is nothing. The gift I have is not important. You could become a painter too, because you're special. I'm a nobody. I just paint rocks and trees, and Luke Skywalker is a 9. What could I do to save the Empire? I'm just a farmer. I'm out here on this planet nobody even cares about. I can't go off and fight in some war and save the planet, save the universe. I got to bring the crops in. 9s have that sense of like, well, what could I do? I can't do anything. And you know, when you believe you can't really do anything, guess what? You can't. So you'll live up to your expectations. And that sitting on the fence can keep 9s from ever becoming what all that they could become, because, well, who am I? You know? And besides, if I take a step forward, you know, somebody's going to be upset. We can't have that. Why? Why can't we have that? Why can't people just be upset? See, that's where the 9 has to question this. Because at the end of the day, you're afraid of separation. It's loss. You're afraid of separation. You don't want people to separate from you. And 9s, you guys are the masters at the opposite of separation, fusing, merging with people, right? You find your identity often in the identities of other people, in their agendas and their likes and their tastes. And I can't tell you how many times I've worked with people, and you'll work with a 9, and that 9 will think they're a 4, or that 9 will think they're a 5, or that 9 will think they're a 2. And come to find out, when you start doing the discussions with them and the research with them, you'll find they're married to a 4, or married to a 5, or married to a 2. I can't tell you how many times I've seen, kids or husbands or wives that are 9s. They are 9s. But they'll think, when they become aware of the Enneagram, they start doing research and testing and all that and thinking about themselves, they'll see their identity as the other person in the home. In other words, that vanilla ice cream has so blended with the chocolate ice cream of their spouse, right, that they think that they're chocolate. And it sometimes takes them a while to realize, I'm a 9. I have my own personality. I have my own, way of doing things. Because 9s, they fear separation so much. What do? They fuse and merge with people. And so the wife, or the husband or the spouse cares about riding Harleys and motorcycles. And so the 9 spouse, that's what they care about. And they just morph right into and become the companion, you might say, the companion to that dominant, strong personality. And I think it's one of the reasons why 9s end up often married to 8s, 4s, sometimes and 1s, because these sometimes 8s, 9s, 8s, 4s, and 1s can be very dominant, strong-minded, volatile personalities. And other personalities push back and resist. I'm not doing what you want to do. I have my own opinion. I have my own way of doing things. But the 9 can seem to get along with some of the more volatile types of personalities. Okay. Easygoing and affable, accommodating, friendly, flexible, supportive. It's almost like 9s specialize in being easy to be around. And again, that's why 9s are loved. It's working, right? It's working. We love being around you because you make it easy to be around. You don't take yourself too seriously. You don't get all offended and nose out of joint when somebody doesn't recognize you or recognize, all of the contributions you've made. You don't really think of what you do as a contribution. You don't really value yourself or your contribution. It's other people that are important to a 9. So the 9 finds their value in other people relating to them well, and relating well to other people. A tendency to merge and over-adjust, staying in harmony with others to the point of maybe even erasing yourself or erasing your own, spot at the table. Not necessarily erasing your personality, but maybe adjusting your personality to the point that like your spot at the table just kind of disappears. Like the vines of other people have grown up around you so much that nobody can see you anymore. You're there, but you're surrounded in all these vines that other people, pulling you in all these directions, and you just want to get rooted yourself and stand still. But the vines of others have like crowded you out so that you almost can't even hear yourself anymore. What do I want in life? So you find out one day you're a nurse or a teacher or a husband, and it's never really anything that you wanted for you. You've kind of lived the script that you were expected to live. And here you are now, 30 years later, and you're kind of wondering, how did I get here? You ever had that experience where you're driving down the highway and you just sort of end up at your destination, and you kind of, you must have like zoned out because you remember leaving and you remember arriving, but you kind of blacked out on that whole drive. You drove for 30 minutes down the highway and don't remember any of it. If 9s aren't careful, that's how they will live their lives. Zoned out. Zoned out. That's what I'm saying. They'll get to their destination or somebody's destination and really not know how they got there, because they were out of touch with their thinking and feeling. They were out of touch with their dream center. They just went through the routines and signed up for classes and showed up for school and took the test, got the job, showed up year after year, doing what was expected of them. And that's great, to do what's expected of you. But the real question is what do you want to do? What are you called to do? And who are you anyway? Who is that person in there? Because I'd like to meet them. I'd like to meet that person. I think the world would like to meet that person that's inside you. Not what you think we want to see. Not what you think will keep people from being frustrated with you, but you. Okay, Mr. Rogers, what is it about you that makes you special? If you don't show up, look, as much as you like peace and being at peace, peace only exists between two distinct parties. If two distinct parties, one of them merges into the other, it's not peace anymore. It's something else. Okay, it's merging, but it's not peace if there's not two separate individual parties. Let people get to know you. Get to know yourself. Wake up to yourself. There you go. A tendency to merge and over-adjust. Passive resistance instead of active aggression. Okay, so when the 9, gets intruded on and pushed on, and they don't want to come right out and be ugly and tell people to, step off and get back and stay in your own lane and all that kind of stuff. So the 9 will just kind of agree with and shake their head. They'll feel that tendency, that temptation to just agree with and shake their head and go along with people and nod. But then after the people walk out and leave, then the 9 really has no intention of actually changing. Why? Because the 9's goal is to not change. The 9's goal is to be stuck. The 9's goal is to be left alone. And so they will listen to people and hear people, and they'll even agree with people. But when people leave, the 9 may have no intention of actually following through and changing in any way. So their resistance is more often a passive resistance than like an 8 or a 1, a direct resistance. So they may say yes but really mean no, or say yes and really mean, we'll see. Lovers of comfort. Last one. Lovers of comfort. 9s want to stay comfortable. They dislike change. They prefer peace with people. They dislike change, and they're kind of awkward with recognition and those kinds of things. So I think there was plenty in this video for you, if you're a 9 or live with a 9, to think about, to reflect on, to be challenged by. I I hope that it's helpful to you, and I hope it encourages you. And as always, you can get in touch with me if you want to. In the description, I've got, the information for getting in touch with me if I can help you and encourage you in any way. As always, I would say be present to life. And for a 9, there's a lot of meaning in that, isn't there? You be present to life, not that veneer person that is easy for me to get along with, but your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, you in your wholeness, show up and be present to what's going on in life, and don't miss it by not being fully there to life. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate you all. I hope this video is helpful to you. Be blessed, and I'll see you again. Take care.